Knights at the Round Table, a round table discussion on speculative fiction books and film. Hi everybody and welcome to the next episode of Knights at the Round Table. Today we are discussing the book,
The Unearthing.
The Unearthing, thank you, by Steve, I can't pronounce your last name, I'm sorry. We're just gonna say Steve K. I'm sitting at the table here with Nathan. And I'd like to start with general impressions of the book. Nathan, what did you reckon?
I did not enjoy this book. It had some good ideas. I thought the execution was left a lot to be desired. Full disclosure, I did not finish this book. I got about halfway.
So for myself, I did finish the book, and it was fine. I mean, it wasn't anything to read. It was fine. Woohoo! Shut up.
Fine.
It was fine. It was fine. Not the F word fine. It was genuinely just fine. There were some things that made me roll my eyes skyward, but I did end up falling into the book in places, which is nice. When the action got it right, it got it right.
I'll fully admit to that.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I missed my bus stop by quite a margin on my way to training on Thursday because I had started reading the book. That doesn't happen to me very often, actually. Weirdly enough, I thought that his style of writing was fairly close to mine, which is my way of reasoning about why I fell so easily into the book.
I can see that, but no.
Eric said the same thing. He's like, no, it's not. Oh, okay.
I can see why you feel this way. Yeah, but no.
Okay.
It felt to me a lot like watching an 80s movie, where you're like, you allow for a fair bit of baloney, but at some point, like, when the bread on your bologna sandwich is also bologna, you're just like, it's too much. But when you forget about the bologna, you sort of get engaged with it. Yeah,
see, I'm not very, anymore. I'm not very sciencey minded unless it's like anthropological stuff.
Yeah.
Like if it has anything to do with genetics or archaeolinguistics or, the development of Homo sapiens sapien from all of its various branches and all of that kind of thing. I am there, I am down, this archaeologist is in her happy place. But try to talk to me about astrophysics and my eyes will glaze over and it's not your fault, it's just my brain isn't wired that way.
Yeah, see, this is the thing, I really enjoy astrophysics as, like, a pastime of mine, and this author does not.
But, really? Talked enough about it?
Yes! But see, this is the thing, is I got the impression that a lot of the science in that book was absorbed by osmosis via watching a lot of movies. And
I can totally see where that opinion comes from, yeah.
The thing is, in movies, it's hard to tell the difference between what's actual science and what's kind of like whipped together to make this particular movie work. And there was a lot of borrowed things from other fictions in this book that you felt like it doesn't support this story, so why is it there, kind of thing. Yeah. One of my main beefs was the size of the ship itself.
That wasn't the main beef of mine. My main beef was that the size of the ship somehow managed to contain a planetoid. That's not how this works.
No. And also, like, even if it's just, like, 20 kilometers was the original size of the ship at the beginning of the...
I think so, yes.
So 20 kilometers. The curvature of the Earth is perceptible at 4 kilometers. Your ship ain't gonna land straight. It's gonna go like this and crush itself into, like, a couple of pieces.
But it was super self-healing alloy ship.
It was Elven.
It was Elven. Thank you, Peanut Gallery.
They don't believe in the curvature of the Earth.
Oh, God.
So you can have huge ships in space. And usually when you have a huge ship in space, you'll send, like, littler ships that are in this big ship to go to the surface and do things like not collapse under its own weight in an atmosphere.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a big thing that made me, like, seriously have to put my suspension of disbelief, like, very, very far.
Oh, see, once that hits though, I can never put it away again. Every time, were you eye rolling every 5 minutes after that?
Every single page.
See, that's what happens to me when I put away my when the suspension of disbelief is just so rattled by something in a text or a movie.
Yeah.
It's just always there now. Like, no, this is horseshit, and I cannot put it away, even if I want to. Even when I'm being critical of something, as I normally am, watching and reading now these days, this panel has ruined me. I can still throw away the suspension of disbelief and then think about it later and be like, oh, wait, but what?
Yeah, like the fridge door question. You know, you got home after a movie and you go open the door for a snack and you're like, wait, but no, when I'm reading the book and it hits me like a ton of bricks in the face while I'm reading this, that is like, this is completely nonsensical. It's hard for me to come back from this.
Yeah. I am very fortunate in that didn't happen to me this time around. Now, this book was overlong, I think, for what?
It should have been about a third of the length that it was.
Yeah, I would say maybe half. I would have said, like, that'll give you enough breathing room to explain everything, but you probably didn't reach this point because it's quite near the end, when everybody's preparing to take off to the alien homeworld, because Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that's what you do.
Oh my god! Let's go back to this point afterwards.
Yeah, the ship song? Anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
More than that.
They were, what was my point? Oh my god, I had a point!
Closing out of the third kind.
Yes,
Get
thank you
into the
before
ship
then.
and go to the homeworld.
Yeah. The point too long near the
Oh,
end.
yeah. Near the end, he did, like, fully a chapter's worth of recapping of everything that had happened up until that point. That is entirely unnecessary and drove me insane. Like, I ended up skimming, and that was probably why I read the book in a day, because I could skim, like, 300
Well, that's
pages.
the thing, is I only made it that far because I could skim so much, because so much of it was, like, huge info dumps of and even, like, really emotional stories when, like, the main character is killed, and then
Oh, yeah,
like,
Mark Echohawk.
Yeah, and then you go...
Yes.
Which, I didn't make it past halfway point, and I knew that the main character was killed, so that was also a little bit unsettling. But anyways, you get to the funeral and the grieving part, and, like, it is so long. It is long enough for it to, like, I actually started to get engaged at this point. I was like, oh! My wife came into the living room while I was reading. I'm like, something is actually happening in this book, Joelle. It's happening. Something is happening. I'm only like 300 pages in and it's happening. And I was like, and immediately I disconnected again because the grieving was so long and drawn out, and like, once you get an emotional effect, like withdrawal already.
Yeah, so that would only, I think, have worked with, and the alliteration in these names also drives me up the wall, but James Johnson.
Yeah.
So, as you could cling to the grief for him, I think, because that was his whole story arc, was the grief just totally fucked him up.
Yeah.
So that's fine, but yeah, you're right. Everything else around it was...
everything with his ex-wife and his daughter and the funeral and the whole team and it was just too much.
Yeah, it was a bit too much. It had moments like that where it lingered too much on sort of the wrong thing, and I think maybe they were going, maybe the author was going for emotional impact, but because of how drawn out it was, it lost the impact.
Exactly, and that's exactly how I felt. Like, I gave up, not too long after that, because, I was finally starting to get engaged, and it managed to, like, immediately bore me to death again.
Oh.
I'm not, it had redeeming values. I swear it did.
Yeah, I did like the amount that Ottawa was mentioned, and the part that the city played and Canadian politics played in the book.
Yes, that was fun.
That made me smile, because I was reading about Ottawa the way I normally would read about New York, or something like that, and it felt both weird and pretty awesome to have that in the book. Because, I, at this point, can probably name the streets of New York. I've read so many so many books that are set in New York, it's
They're
kind
numbered.
of... Yeah, a lot of them are. But I don't think other people can do that for Ottawa, right?
No.
And so I hear things like the Canal and Sussex, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
I know, it's fun.
I
It
know
was
these
fun.
places. It was fun.
And see, even that had a few details that managed to, like, yank me out at some points. Like, the British ambassador. We don't have an embassy.
We do.
We do?
Yeah, we do.
Well,
Oh, it's a consulate, isn't it?
It's a consulate. That's...
Yeah.
It's... I know at this point it's really tiny little things,
No,
but
no,
I was
it was
annoyed
very
by
good,
that
yeah.
point.
Oh. Yeah, I did like the mention of Ottawa. I liked the mention
It was
of
fun.
Ottawa
That was one of the
politics.
things that, like, drew me back into the book, I have to admit.
Yeah, yeah. I also quite enjoyed the subtle mentions of other sci-fi things that are happening. My favorite one was mention of Cheyenne Mountain
Yes.
as like a military base of operation, which of course it is, but immediately I went, Stargate!
Yeah. But
Start
there
me!
was tiny little things like this. And this is probably me putting it on there, but there was a Dr. Everett Scott in there, and every time I kept thinking about the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and every single time I read the words Dr. Scott together, I had that scene pop in my head of like, Brad, Janet, Dr. Scott! I could not stop.
Well, when you're bored, you make your own entertainment, I guess. Oh, and another thing which is...
Sorry.
No, it's good. Another thing which is totally selfish of me, but I really liked that their archaeolinguist was named Sonia.
I know, I saw that.
And that
too,
she
and I
was
like,
an
oh, Sonia's gonna like that.
She was an archaeolinguist.
Yeah. I know.
And she hated public speaking. I'm like, this woman is the Palestinian me. Like, Jesus. Yeah.
Know the author?
No, but I appreciate that he named his archaeolinguist Sonia.
After her.
Yeah, totally after me.
He's a time
I had
traveler.
everything to do with that. But there was one thing that really ticked me off. It only happened once. And it's something that a lot of male writers, particularly male sci-fi writers for some reason, fall prey to, is that when they're describing men, they'll describe them physically and list some of their achievements. When they're describing women, they'll describe them physically and then how fucking attractive they are.
Yeah.
It really pisses me off, and it's more than just, oh, Sonia's a feminazi. Yes, but...
Didn't you describe everyone and how pretty they are?
Yeah, right? If you're going to talk about attractiveness, then don't just talk about how attractive women are. Talk about how attractive men are, because, you know, women are reading these books, the female gaze means something. I'm not mad that attraction is a thing that happens to people who aren't me.
No, but
I
like,
get
how
it.
attractive is Echo Hawk? The world must know.
In my head, he was hottie.
Well, I kind of love the name Echo Hawk.
Yeah, I know, right? His ex-wife,
It
so...
was very,
He's got a
like,
scar on his
rugged,
left
yeah,
arm.
right? Like,
Rugged beard.
Except no, he was an
He was a
academic.
scientist,
He
yeah.
was an academic.
Oh, yeah.
I know,
an
I kept it-
academic like Harrison Ford.
probably. You
I
kinda
hate
picture him
Nazis.
with Harrison Ford.
Anyway. But yeah, so when he was describing Echo Hawk's ex-wife, whose name I can't even remember, that's how much of a name.
Bloom.
Bloom! Margaret
Yeah.
Bloom! Thank you!
I remember the thing.
Margaret Bloom.
He talked about her physical features, sure, and then he talked about her active lifestyle, despite the fact that she was a smoker.
Oh my god, there's
Kept the,
so much smoking.
So
in
much
that book.
smoking. Kept the telltale signs of age at bay. She could pass for 30 and give women even younger a run for their money with men at their own age.
And like, she's actually...
It's not...
She's a military astronaut scientist. Like, at some point, she has a lot of other things going on
Yeah,
in her
exactly.
life.
She is so much more than that. And the way that I get it, male writer, male gaze. Fine, but it just really pisses me off, particularly when the character herself was such an anti-authoritarian badass.
Yeah.
Like, what she did on the space station was
Really badass.
really good.
Really good, yeah.
Like, the US government was in contradiction with the what was it, the South, what was it, the Protectorate?
yeah, it's
the Indigenous
it's
American
an indigenous
Protectorate.
land. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And international, like, treaties, etc.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, bye! You're not getting on. We are sending this information out. You can't get your hands on it. You're not going to keep it quiet. This is outside of
Yeah.
what you should be doing. Fuck you guys. And I'm like, yes, Margaret Bloom!
That was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. That's when I started getting, like, really into it. I was like, yeah, you tell them. That's when I missed my bus stop. So, you wanted to talk about setting?
Yes! Another thing that pulled me out a lot was the weird changes to, like, everyday things that we have presently and that were also contemporary to when the book was written in 2011. That just, like, it felt... Okay, so he renames the internet, and he renames email. And he also, like, goes into this, like, I think 5 or 6 pages explanation of how, like, TV graduated from being TV to being video on demand, and this was this whole revolution. But, I mean, this book was written in 2011. TiVo had been a thing for decades at that point.
Netflix
Email and the
had already
internet...
stopped renting out DVDs.
Yeah.
Streaming was a thing. Like, it felt a little bit bizarre, like trying to rename things from everyday life to give it a futuristic feel without making them feel futuristic at all.
Right, so just changing the name of the thing rather than the thing
And
itself.
if
So it'd be
this
like
book-
calling this mug, like,
A coffee receptor.
coffee
a coffee
receptacle.
receptacle. And he lifted the coffee receptacle and could drink coffee from it because the coffee receptacle held the coffee. Like, explain and explain and explain, like, what an email is. Like, everybody doesn't know what an email is. Like, this book is literally only available on Kindle.
Sorry.
It just...
I got mine
it
from
really
Smashwords.
threw me. You got it? Well, I mean, it's only available
As an
electronically.
ebook, yeah, okay.
So, like, people who are reading this book are probably already literally, like, a little bit techno-savvy. A little bit, at least.
Yeah, yeah.
But it felt bizarre to me. It felt like if this book had been written in 87, it would have been prescient. And it tried to give that impression, but being written in 2011. And for me, that was a really big pet peeve.
Right, that's fair. That's fair. I have to say, I get the impression that this is a self-published book. And reading it, you can tell.
Yeah.
So you had text to audio, right?
No, I couldn't. I read it.
Okay, so on the Smashwords version that I had, it could have done to send it to Eric, for example, to be formatted, because you would get some excellent, easy to read text, and then the next few paragraphs would be like this big, and I'd be sitting on the bus like, and
see, my Kindle version was actually fairly.
Oh, so I got mine from
good.
Smashwords, so it was not. It was all over the place with its formatting, and it drove my eyes to distraction, like getting
Kindle
cross-eyed.
corrects a
And...
lot of mistakes.
There was a lot of weird punctuation in mine.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of like missing punctuation, and also
Yeah, or like double comma.
or comma where there should have been a full stop, or like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, this book could have done with a thorough copy edit. It could also have done with a really strong content edit, because there was a lot of repetition where there did not need to be. There was a lot of over-explaining where they did not need to be. Certain scenes could have done with being so much shorter. Certain things could have done with being explained a little better. I'm not sure if you got this far. But the chase between Gabriel Ash and Jude, stereotypical murderer works for the government dude, end up having this chase through the bowels of the ship, which could have been so good, because Gabriel's whole purpose was to take the ship for himself, somehow take it over, or... the way I was imagining it is he would meld his mind to the ship. But you never find out if that happens. All you find out is that he's chased into the bowels of the ship by the same dude who was about to kill all the scientists at the site. And the chase lasted for like maybe 3 days. And then when Jude finally catches up to him, he's got something strapped to him. And you imagine that he detonated whatever it was that was strapped to him, and they're both dead, exploded in somewhere in the bowels of this giant ship. They never, ever speak of them again. So you don't know if Gabriel Ash somehow managed to link with the ship. So you don't know if the explosion would have killed his physical body, but his mental craziness is still in the ship somehow, somewhere. That is never explained. They never, like, when they're all filling the ship full of people to go off to the home world, I guess, They never find bodies. They never find evidence of an explosion. I don't think they even find the beacons that Jude set so that he could find his way back out again if he ever shot the dude. Like, it's never explained. It's just intimated that they probably blew up together because Gabriel Ash is a crazy person. That's it. That's all. And they could have done so much more with that.
I think that being a content editor myself is probably why I was so annoyed at this book.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of things that, like, I wanted to take out my red pen all of the time.
You're a poor Kindle.
I know.
Yeah, I
can't read anymore.
yeah. I don't know. Because I'm not a content editing, and in fact, I suck at editing, especially my own work. It is terrible. That sort of stuff didn't really bother me, but threads that weren't thoroughly explained, or things that went on for far too long, really did bother me. And also, that newscast recapping everything that happened in the book up until that point was so unnecessary. It was pages of the stuff. And
every time it came up, I was like, oh, okay, it's like epistolary. There's going to be something new. No, there was no new information. Mm-hmm. It was a recap. Mm-hmm. Every single time.
Was it a serial story? Or
No. Like, give your readers some credit. Huh. We have memories. Well, most of us have memories. Sometimes mine's a bit like a goldfish. Like, I couldn't remember Margaret Bloom,
for example. What are you doing in my basement?
Yeah, it's not. And the thing is, I quite enjoyed the story.
That's it. Like, it had a really good foundation.
The foundation was there. I also really liked how he made fun of the aliens trope in archaeology. Like, there is actually a point where one of the characters says, "Don't tell me it's fucking aliens."
Yeah, I remember that.
I was like, aliens.
Aliens.
Also, top of a golden pyramid in the middle of the desert. I was like, ooh, Stargate!
Yeah.
Again.
Well, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
I
literally yesterday told my wife, I was like, it's like this guy watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind and, like, said, you know, this could really use a lot more story, and added all the story, but with, like, so much explanation. But it had a lot of similarities.
Oh god, yeah. Like the ship song, and then the whole taking off to visit the alien homeworld without actually thinking if that's maybe not the best idea.
And the ship having been there before, mysteriously, and then for mysterious reasons. And... Yeah.
I don't know, I kept thinking back to Stargate. Like, every time. Like, we've uncovered the top of a pyramid. Don't do it! It's gold! Don't do it! Anyway. Indeed. Oh, Teal'c. Love you forever. Yeah, also the alliteration made me laugh. I'm like, okay, Stanley, calm down.
Yeah.
James Johnson, Peter Paulson, stop it! He didn't do it with every character, thank God.
No, there was Dr. Everett Scott.
And Mark Echo Hawk.
Yeah.
Margaret Bloom also was not an alliteration.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember Jude's last name. Does he even have a last name? Jude Law. Maybe he wanted the character to be played by Jude Law. I can envision Jude Law actually playing that character.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, he can do the whole like dead-eyed killer thing really well. Jude Law,
he's pretty good.
Yeah. I do have to say, I really enjoyed... enjoyed might not be the best word to use here, but James Johnson's descent into, like, drug abuse and then death.
Yeah.
Was well done. I think that was an excellent way to... Eric's giving me worried looks. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Yeah. See, this is why I'm like, but it was well done. I felt for the character. Not so much for Alison, weirdly enough, who he left behind, even though she was a lovely girl. But yeah, I did feel for the character. Also, big pet peeve is jamming all of the pagan religions under one banner. They are not all Wiccans or Neo-Druids. Stop it.
I felt like there was a lot going on about religion that, like, you know, there was a lot of, like, religion is so evil, but I don't really understand religion all that well.
Well,
why are the Christians going on a jihad? Why?
because they're the crazy fundamentalist Christians.
Yes, but why are they using the word jihad?
Because, I don't know, they decided it's the best word to use. Look, if the Muslims can use it, the Christians, I don't know. I don't know the reason.
Called a crusade.
Exactly, they should have called it a crusade. Especially since they sang Onward Christian Soldiers before they blew themselves up. Yeah. Shake my head. This book has a lot of potential, and I actually really enjoyed it.
Yes.
But it did fall down in a lot of places.
I have a feeling like it was, I've no idea, by the way, but it felt like a first book that maybe was a little rushed to print.
Maybe. It felt like a self-published book that could have done with a lot of work.
Yeah.
To me. Like, not so much rushed, just as in wasn't really aware of the problems and
by rush to print, I mean, like, skipped several steps. Like,
oh, okay, yeah.
You know,
yes.
Whenever you write your very first book, there's gonna be, like, half of it that's dump. Like, just dump it. Or completely rewrite it. And I feel like if this book had been through that process, it would be a good book.
No, I definitely agree. Yeah. Is that your final thought?
That is my final thoughts.
Star rating?
2.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Yeah, I'm giving it a 2 as well. I did enjoy the book. It's not one that I'll be adding to my own personal shelf anytime soon. It did suffer a lot of problems that it was there, the foundation was there, and there were parts of it that I really fell into. But again, went on too long in some places. Didn't explain anything near enough as it should have in other places, and yeah. Also, formatting. Formatting's a big thing.
It really is.
It really is. Would you like to pick 6 next to him?
Yes.
Yeah,
The Reluctant Barbarian!
Oh, yes! Oh, I am on this panel. Okay.
By John Hass.
By John Hass. John Hass is a local author. I know him. Caveat. So just bear that in mind when I'm talking about this book. But I really enjoyed this book until one of these... And to this day, there is just one scene that, even when I think about it, makes me chuckle. Trying to reach for his axe. It's...
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's very
I keep
funny.
Picturing it in my
Yeah.
Okay, let's save that for the panel.
Yeah, we'll save that for... Yeah, I keep seeing it in my head, and every time I'm like...
It's funny because I picture him.
So yeah.
Maybe
But
a little
skinnier.
bit. But it's funny because I'm not a visual person, but this book was like, it had images for me.
Yeah. So The Reluctant Barbarian by local author John Hass. I'm excited about this one. I really enjoyed this book. If you have any thoughts about The Unearthing, do leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, you can suggest new books as well, and we'll add them to the bowl to pull out. Alright. Thanks very much, guys. Bye!